Good evening, this is Mrs Frost
and Mrs Daniels,
and welcome to the Year 10 Information Evening. The aims of this evening is just to share some information with you about who you can contact during the course of the year, how we can support your daughter in securing and supporting success, the key events that are coming up, and how we both monitor progress and mindset throughout the year. The form tutors this year are Miss Bowditch with 10C, Mr Summers with 10O, Mr King with 10L, Mr Knackman with 10H and Miss Withers with 10E. Mrs Daniels is your year leader and Special Educational Needs Coordinator. Mrs Joslin is the Upper School Pastoral Assistant and she looks after years 9, 10 and 11. I'm Mrs Frost, Vice Principal, Mrs Mandel is the Examinations Officer and Mrs Jackson is Associate to the Principal and CEO. So how can we help you support your child during Year 10? What is success? How can we secure it? The homeschool partnership is always an important part of a student's life. But this year more than ever, it is absolutely crucial that we all work together to secure that success. Before we move on and have a look at what we're doing to help support your daughter, we'd just like to share with you some of the things that we're doing in school to make it COVID friendly. We have some lovely outdoor areas where students can sit and shelter. We have clean, well sanitised classrooms with lots of space for students to learn. We have a one-way system. You can see there our student is ably demonstrating our hand sanitising and we even socially distance the toilets. We follow government guidelines regarding social distances and have signs and posters to reiterate this. Our seating plans act as our track and trace system and they are kept centrally. We have a clearly labelled one-way system. We advocate masks in communal areas. Our lunchtime is separate from other year bubbles. We have clear outside areas where different bubbles can sit and our emergency evacuation points are practised and clearly demonstrated. Following government guidelines, we advocate hand hygiene wherever possible. Ideally, wash your hands for 20 seconds, but if not, just use some hand sanitizer and avoid touching your face. We all have a personal responsibility with regard to COVID-19. If you come in contact with anyone with COVID-19 or if anyone in your house has symptoms, please do not come into school and please make sure that you ring up the school and let them know that you are self-isolating. If your child is in lessons and they feel unwell, all they need simply do is alert the member of staff and they will come and collect them and bring them to our medical room. A reminder to students that they should not share equipment. They should in particular have their own planner and mobile phones should be left on for track and trace purposes.
So how can students support themselves? Firstly, know what you need to know. For each of your subjects, you will have been issued with a specification. If you can't find that, they're very easy to find online if you visit the exam board websites. They will highlight the content that you are going to be examined on in each of your subject areas, and they're a really great way of identifying your strengths and your weaknesses. We tend to like to revise the things that we're good at and that we know, but use those specifications to identify the gaps in your learning and help you to focus on the things that you need to revise moving forwards. Make effective use of your time in lessons and with homework. Arrive to your lessons promptly. We have that extended movement time at the moment to give you time to follow the one-way system and lessons on time. Make sure you've got all the equipment so that you are ready to learn straight away. With homework, make sure you're using your planner effectively. Make sure you're allocating time. And again, remove all distractions so it can be a focused 40 to 45 minutes on the pieces of homework that you are being set. Most importantly, if there is a key concept you don't understand, if you are struggling, ask that teacher for help. Every member of staff is more than happy to support, to meet with you for one-to-ones if needed at lunchtime or at break. So please, if you are struggling, reach out to your teachers. There are also things that students can do to support themselves, and now more than ever, it's really important to be looking after your well-being. So firstly, you need to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep. And for this age group, it's recommended 8 hours of sleep an evening. If you are struggling to sleep, try and get into a healthy sleep routine. Have a warm bath before bedtime. Have a warm drink, non-caffeine related. Maybe read a book. You could try a lavender spray, but get yourself into a regular sleep pattern and routine. It's important that we look after our diets. Try and avoid lots of sugary foods that are going to give you that instant high but then bring you back down. You want foods that give slow release energy, so all your carbohydrates. And again, as Mrs. Frost said, keep hydrated. Regular drinks throughout the day keeps that focus in lessons. I know I'm a PE teacher, but I'm a huge advocate for exercise as it impacts both your physical, mental and your social well-being. It allows you to do something with friends, relieve stress, whilst also doing something that's going to improve your health. Following the closure of schools back in March, we are very aware that some students may have struggled in the lockdown period to keep on top of work. Please do not worry if you have experienced these difficulties. We have got systems in place to help reconnect you with your learning, and if you are struggling in a specific subject, please either talk to the head of department or teacher in that subject area, or you could speak to your form tutor. There are also lots of things that parents can be doing to support their children during this time. I think the first one is understanding. Exams, the end of GCSEs, it can be quite a stressful time for students. They are going to have their emotional ups and their downs, and it's sort of riding those out and being understanding if suddenly there are some mood swings in the house. Recognise and encourage effort. We want to kind of encourage those positive behaviours so that we're seeing those happen more often. Monitor what your child is doing, whether that's looking at the planner to check that homework's being set, when assessments are coming up, and actually that they are putting that allocated time into their homework. Create an environment for learning. We try and encourage people to move away from their bedrooms for learning. That should be for downtime, for resting. So if you could create a quiet place in the house, preferably at a table, that would really help promote those good learning routines. Communication, and that's mainly communicating with the school. If you think there are any issues, if your child is struggling, you have the form tutor as your first response, but also you could communicate directly with the teacher of specific subjects as well. It's so important to encourage a work-life balance. We do get to these latter years in exams and students focus a lot on their revision, and yes, it is important, but having that breakaway, carrying on with their hobbies and having that work-life balance is really important to maintain good well-being. You could help with the plan. Again, revision planning can be quite a challenge, so taking some time to sit down and do that planning together can be really helpful. Make sure that all the revision resources that are necessary are in place. We've had lots of revision guides on sale at school, but also we know students love a flashcard. Anything that you can do to help organise and support with revision resources would be hugely appreciated. And finally, just the importance of that wider reading, especially as they move into A-level and onto further education. That wider reading around their subject areas is really going to allow them to access those higher level marks in exams and show that subject mastery.
Mrs. Daniels mentioned earlier the use of phones. Phones are a marvellous invention. However, they can also be an incredible waste of time. They can distract, they can detract from what they need to do. So students need to be mindful that sometimes they can't regulate themselves what's happening on their phone, and an adult sometimes needs to step in. The Child Protection Company has a shocking statistic that 1 in 5 teens regularly wake up to check social media during the night. You might not believe that, but we often see it on the pastoral team. We see people with messages coming in at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They're sending them to their friends. They're checking in. This cannot be. Students need their rest, ideally between 8 to 10 hours sleep. So how can we avoid these regular nightly check-ins? As parents, you have power. There are many things that you can do to limit social media at night and the disturbance it can sometimes have with students' sleep. Adjust the light settings on phones to help the amount of blue light shining through the screen. Most devices now come with night shift mode. Utilise that. Try about changing the routine at bedtime. How about a new hobby such as reading or taking a bath or just preparing yourself for the next day? Don't be tempted to think, I've done everything on my tick list, I can now go on my phone. How about putting your phone in a location where it cannot be seen or heard? How about putting it in a box that goes into your parents' bedroom? Try to break the habit of unprompted device checking. Sometimes people do it as a matter of course. It's almost like a really terrible habit that you have to break. How about a digital detox? How about just turning it off altogether, or at least for certain times of the day? And please, parents, make sure that the phone is silenced before bed. The do not disturb sign needs to be on and students need to rest their brains. This is where I become instantly unpopular. Parents, you have the power to cap screen time. In an Apple device, for example, you simply just need to go into settings, scroll to screen time, press app limits, and you can cut their social networking time down dramatically, maybe to just 30 minutes a day or even 10 minutes a day, depending on how motivated they are being. Underneath the app's limits, it should say use screen time passcode. You can put that passcode in. No one need know that passcode but you, and then you hold the ultimate power. At CCHSG, we have very clear expectations with regard to e-safety, courtesy, and overall kindness. There is an expectation that everyone is treated with respect. We are all a community together and we need to be courteous, kind and considerate to others. At CCHSG, bullying is very rare, but we do not accept in any form bullying. This includes e-safety messages. So nasty things said on social media, we do not accept that. It is constantly promoted through PSHE and assemblies the right thing to do with regard to the internet and social media. If you or your child come across something on the internet that you find unpleasant or really should not be there, we wholeheartedly recommend you contacting external agencies like CEOP or indeed the local police. Out of school, parents, you are responsible for your daughter's behaviour and safety. That includes online.
There's lots of different avenues of support available in school. We have our subject teachers there, obviously, to deal with any subject-related issues or difficulties. The pastoral team, including form tutors, pastoral assistants and heads of year, who are there to support students with any issues relating to well-being. Where needs be, we can also make referrals to external agencies for more targeted support. There's lots of mentors available within school, both student mentors, but also experienced members of staff that can deliver one-to-one sessions. We also have wellbeing activities, and we're hoping soon to be able to re-engage with our wide extracurricular programme. There is also a lot of support available in school for student wellbeing. So we have our pastoral team, so we have Mrs. Jocelyn, who's the pastoral assistant, myself as head of year, and Mrs. Frost, who is responsible for all of Key Stage 4. We are available to talk at break times and at lunch times around any issues that are causing concern for students. There's also an opportunity to have a drop-in session with the school nurse or a counselling session with the school counsellor. And we also have a fantastic team of wellbeing ambassadors who come in and deliver assemblies, but also offer drop-in sessions for students. When needed, we do also make referrals to external agencies, including the Emotional Health and Wellbeing Services, COOF and Mind. We are very lucky that we have a timetabled PSHE lesson every week here at CCHSG. So every Monday, period 3, with their form tutors, students will spend an hour looking at the types of topics covered here on this slide. The aim of the PSHE programme is to equip students with the skills and the knowledge to go on to make healthy and informed decisions. So things like drugs and alcohol awareness, looking at body image and mental health, some first aid skills, but also looking at things within the school, for example, revision strategies and coping with exam stress. You will receive reports at various points in the year highlighting the progress your young person has made. The first of these is Progress Check 1 in November. Progress checks will consist of an attitude to learning grade and a working at grade, remembering that that working at grade is the grade that the teacher believes that student will achieve at the end of the course if they continue to work in their current manner. I'd also like to highlight that week commencing the 16th of November, there is a GCSE Religious Studies mock exam, the results for which will come out in December, and further mock exams will take place for 2 weeks, starting on the 22nd of February. Full reports will be coming out in June, with a final progress check in July. I don't want to talk too much about attendance. We all know the link between good attendance and good attainment. Obviously this year is going to be a challenging year, and we are fully aware that students at times may need to self-isolate, and what we would encourage during those times, if students are of course not feeling unwell, is that they are still continuing to engage in their education from home. All work for all lessons is being put onto SharePoint. So if a student does need to self-isolate, they will still be able to access their work from that day online. Just as attendance is important, so is punctuality. There's an expectation that students are in their form by 8:45 in the morning, although we do currently have our staggered entry into school. We are understanding that sometimes buses are running late, there's an accident on the A12, and we will obviously, with an explanation, show some leniency, but we do have measures in place to deal with persistent lateness. So 2 lates in a week would result in a 15-minute detention with the form tutor or pastoral team. 3 in a half term, again, is a 15-minute detention. 3 in a week, that time is extended to 30 minutes. We also have very clear expectations with regard to uniform and the extras that can sometimes be brought into school. So just to be clear, jewellery-wise, we would like 1 pair of plain studs in the lower lobe. Please do not have sparkly studs, do not have hoops, do not have them at the top part of the ear, just in the lower lobe. Eye watches are not permitted in school, they are not allowed in examination halls, so therefore we would like our young people to get used to using a normal analogue watch. No other jewellery is allowed, so that's no necklaces, no bracelets, and unfortunately no religious artefacts either. When it comes to makeup, we do not really advocate makeup, and that includes eyebrows. We do not want Angry Bird eyebrows in school. Please note to the false eyelashes, the false nails, the nail varnish, and the extreme hairstyles or colours, which include balayage. And please do not use henna on your hands to create patterns or to create colours on your nails, as henna takes a very, very long time to come off.
As you can see from these photographs, this is what you should not have. You should not have any glamorous, glitzy studs, just plain studs please. Balayage is very two-tone and very distinct with very unnatural colours like on the left hand side, and any hair which is shaved underneath would be deemed as an extreme haircut. Another contentious area of uniform are ankle socks. As you can see, an ankle sock is defined as something which thoroughly covers the ankle. No thank you to trainer socks, as they do not fully cover the ankle. Ankle socks only.
School will be in regular communication with parents through various means, including Twitter and Facebook. And I know we've been a little bit anti-social media tonight, but on this occasion we will allow it, so please make sure you are following us. But also we do have the weekly bulletin with important dates and events, and obviously the school canteen and the school e-newsletter. There are also different methods for parents to communicate with school. So firstly, the form tutor, and we do refer to the form tutor as the first responder. And you should contact the form tutor regarding personal welfare, any attendance related issue, if there has been a change in circumstances at home, and to report any illness. You need to be in contact with heads of subject for any issues relating to work. So please avoid sending that to the form tutor if you could contact heads of subject directly for matters relating to work. But also, if it is over a number of subjects, please contact the pastoral team, and anything related to exams, it will be Mrs. Mandel, the exams officer. Again, if you have any issues relating to exams or personal circumstances that you feel may affect your daughter's examination performance, please ensure that you have informed Mrs. Mandel, our exams officer, straight away. And her number is just up on the screen here, but this will also be in the information booklet, along with procedures for how to manage if your daughter feels unwell on the day of examinations.
The following slide contains information relating to the D&V Award. The scheme for the 2020-21 will be advertised and released to parents and students shortly.
We now sadly come to the end of our information evening. On behalf of Mrs. Daniels and myself, I'd just like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to us. I know it's been a very unusual information evening. We would have liked to have seen you in the flesh, but if you would like to ask us any questions or have any queries, please email us and we'll be more than happy to help you. I would like to say safe journey home, but I imagine you're already there. Take care and we will see you soon.